Hey guys and girls, so in today's video I take up the DJI Mini 2 and I go fly over Fort Gillkicker, a place that I previously didn't know existed even though it's just down the road. Found out it's just been purchased for £1.3 million to turn into 26 accommodations. So hopefully I'll give you a bit of history today and give you a flyover, look at the current construction work and what's going on down there. Hope you enjoy. The current Fort Gillkicker was constructed between the years 1863 and 1869. There were some alterations in 1871. The fort's located at Stokes Bay, Gosport, and its initial purpose was to defend deepwater anchorage at the Spithead and to protect the western approaches to Portsmouth Harbour during a time where there was growing concern over the increasing strength of the French Navy. The structure is an example of what's called a Palmerston Fort, which were built along the coasts of Ireland and the UK during the Victorian-Era, and they were named after Lord Palmerston, who was the British Prime Minister at the time. It was constructed in the shape of a semicircular arc. This one had 22 casemates and 5 bigger guns mounted on the roof, and this was to protect the deep water anchorages. A mock-up of a casemate at the another Palmerston Fort is in the image shown, and shows what a casemate would have looked like. The cost of completion in 1871 was £59,000 back then, which in today's money translates to about approximately £5.7 million, and that's in 2023. In 1906, the walls of the fort were strengthened with earthwork embankments to protect the shells and cartridge stores after revisions were made to replace the casemates with the latest breech-loading guns. During the Second World War, around the time of D-Day, a large part of the Allied fleet gathered in the Solent, which is the body of water between the mainland and the Isle of Wight. Being located at the end of Gosport Peninsula, Fort Gillkicker was well situated to act as a signal station for communicating with ships and landing craft in the Solent. The fort would signal to craft when it was time for them to proceed to local beaches, and where concrete mats, which were known as the hards, had to be built so that landing craft could run onto the beach and take up board troops and vehicles. As craft began to return from Normandy after D-Day, the fort directed them to the Hard, where they would collect for the next load of troops to be taken into Normandy. In 1956, coastal defence was abolished, and the fort was then used by the Ministry of Public Buildings and Works as a plumber's workshop. Later, there was a substantial wooden signalling station built on top of the fort, and this was continuously manned by former RN signalmen. In November 1986, Hampshire County Council bought the fort, but not its surrounding earth banks, and the fort was used as a building for material stores from 1987 until 1999. In July 2022, it was sold to developers for £1.38 million, with plans to turn it into 26 homes, 22 in the form of gun emplacements and 4 larger ones in the barrack blocks. The fort is currently a Grade 2 listed building, but is currently in extremely poor condition due to a lack of maintenance and numerous break-ins. The site also suffered a major fire in March of 2019. So as we fly north from Fort Gillkicker, you'll see the area Gillkicker, which is an unspoilt stretch of the Hampshire coastline, and is one of a number of areas of a nature conservation value within the borough of Gosport. If you look just ahead, you'll see there's Gosport and Stokes Bay Golf Course. You'll also see the Gillkicker Lagoons, which is a site of special scientific interest. And if you look further than that, you can also see Fort Monckton. So that's the end of our flight today around Gillkicker Fort and the area of Gillkicker. Hopefully you found it informative and you've learned something about Gillkicker Fort and the history and heritage behind the site. As you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful location right on the waterfront, and as you can see here, as I follow this sailing vessel for a quick flyby, you can see that the views that you're going to get from these accommodations once they're built is going to be rather spectacular, and I can imagine the price will be there to match. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything you've seen today. Please do consider liking and subscribing.